What's happening, Sip and Chill family? It is your guy, Coach Reg, back for another edition of Sip and Chill with Coach Reg. And I'm excited to have you here with me. Be you live, or we'll see this on replay, either in Facebook or in our YouTube lounge. Excited you're here. And listen, when you get here, please be sure to say hello. Kind of like to know who we're talking to, who's here with us hanging out. And by all means, feel free to share your comments, your thoughts, what have you. I think this topic is going to be kind of exciting. There was a lot of engagement with it this week, and so we're going to get into that as well. But yeah, a little bit about me. It's your guy, Coach Reg. I am a professional relationship coach. I am the founder of Are You Coached, which is a relationship coaching platform geared toward helping individuals identify, participate, strengthen, and sustain relationships. Our clients are high-achieving professional men and women who, quite frankly, desire more quality connections and relationships that honor and support their core values. We offer a coaching methodology that fosters and encourages personal growth, and our clients are winning as a result. And guess what? You could too. And if coaching is something that you feel you could benefit from, I highly encourage you to schedule a no obligation chemistry session with me so we can discuss the things that you would like to improve and be better and, quite frankly, go be great with, right? And I'm going to share the link with you in a minute and how you can connect with us. And I encourage you to please do so. Listen, for those of you in Facebook, please be sure to get out to our YouTube channel and subscribe, like it, and share it in your networks. It would be so appreciated. And also feel free to leave comments, because I kind of want to know if it's landing, if it's resonating, because there are people who will see this not again when they see it, be it live or on replay, either in Facebook or on YouTube. So definitely feel free to share your comments and thoughts. Hey, Gwen, how you doing? Welcome back to the lounge. Excited you are here, and welcome to the weekend. And for those of you who don't know, this is Sip and Chill, and I totally have my sip. You can sip whatever you choose. If you choose, it's totally okay. But I think this topic is going to be kind of slick. And I think it's going to be helpful, slick in a good way. Let me be clear. So yeah, let's talk about something. I want to share something with you. So almost 5 years ago, I stood up my practice, and my very first workshop, we did a workshop on 5 qualities that make great relationships. And so I polled a group of men and women, maybe 20 or 30. And at that time, again, I was just getting started. So I wanted to include, men and women to get what they thought, right? As it relates to, oh, absolutely. Not a problem. And so they responded with, their answers, and men and women invariably said at the top of the list was communication. And there were 4 others, and we won't get into those, but unless you want to know. But actually, I'll tell you, because I mentioned it, so I guess it's fair. So in that list, right, of 5, number 1 was communication, 2 was trust, 3, spirituality, 4 was emotional maturation. And we've been dealing a lot with emotional intelligence, right? So over the past several weeks. And that was big. That was important even then, right? And the last was physical and emotional intimacy. Those 2 kind of came hand in hand, neck and neck, in terms of, what people felt made great relationships. But again, communication invariably was the one that was the draw, right? And so that's the thing that I think many of us struggle with, right? So a bit more context. You can learn more about me, what I do, what I've done in media. We've been featured in, globally syndicated podcasts and radio programs across the world, which is exciting. And you can listen to, if you will, that content out, some of it on our YouTube channel and also some of it on our website at areyoucoached.com. And again, I'll share with you how to connect with us in a few moments. In fact, I'll do that now because I want to tell you some other things, and then I'll get into that. So you guys see that streaming at the bottom, right? That is how you can connect with us. And those links are indeed live. And again, that phone number, you can text me there and I will respond. You can also see our coaching offers, and that's where you would go to schedule your chemistry session. Okay. So yeah, what I want to do is give some of you some context on how we do Sip and Chill. right? As you know, there are two lounges, as I refer to them. We have a Facebook Live, Sip and Chill with Coach Reg, and we have a YouTube lounge that's Sip and Chill with Coach Reg. And so in the Facebook lounge, I ask questions throughout the week, and that kind of serves as a lead into our topic that we discuss on Fridays, right? So this particular topic, what is good communication, had a lot of responses, and it was very cool. And I'm going to share some of those with you before we get into what I want to share with you, right? Because I definitely want to know what you think, because that's what makes this thing work. Okay. So I hope you have that. I'm going to take that banner down for a moment. And there we go. We'll get back to some comments. All right. So we're back. Now, what is good communication? So the questions I asked this week, that was the first one, right? And so for those of you on Facebook, you can totally go into the group if you're a part of the group, okay? If you're part of the group, you can go see what people had to say, but I'm just going to highlight a few of them now. So yeah, one of the questions I asked, what is good communication? Oh, yeah, I need to tell you this too. So are you coach, right? The tenets of are you focused? Are you purposeful? Are you evolving? Those are the things that we focus on. That's the content. That's the kinds of things we want to think about, because we want to be focused. We want to be intentional. We want to be purposeful, and we want to evolve, right? And so when I ask questions, the type of question, it speaks to one of the tenets. What is good communication? Are you focused? Okay. One of the comments that was shared, outside of a relationship, good communication could be as simple as speaking in a way that the listener understands. However, within a relationship, it requires providing a safe space for your partner to express thoughts and emotions, listening to learn, then responding thoughtfully, asking questions to understand both the intent and the meaning of what's being said. And finally, if you cannot agree on a conclusion, it requires a willingness to accept each other's truth and be okay with it. Love that response. Do you know why? Because it's thoughtful, it's intentional, it's purposeful, it's self-aware. I told you we wouldn't get into emotional intelligence, but I cannot not mention it given that response. And what I love about this group is that there's some smart folks, men and women in this group. And I love that y'all rock with me too. I really, really do. And I love that you're thinking, and I'm glad that some of the content is landing and this is making some sense. Another response. Someone said, good communication should start with respect and consideration for each other. That, I think, allows you to listen, hear, and process what is said before responding. Interruption or interjection before fully listening is not communication. It is making it about you before your turn comes to speak. Another response, good communication is being mentally and emotionally present when engaging with another person. It also means listening to understand versus listening to respond. Body posture and eye contact are cues to how well the other party gives and receives information. Again, thoughtful, right? So you kind of see where we're going here. What is good communication? There's an awareness that it's not just what I want to say or share. It's that, am I also listening to what is being said? Are we not competing? The goal isn't to not compete to talk, right? Or to be heard. We'll get more into that in a little bit. Another question that was asked. Communication is often cited as most important in relationships, yet it is one of the major reasons relationships fail. I asked, why do you think this is true? A response which I thought was really good. First, I thought communication was key, but it's really comprehension. Then they go hand in hand when it comes to this topic. Just because you communicate does not mean that they comprehend, and that's where the arguments and disagreements begin. Yeah. That thing about understanding what someone is saying, even if it's repeating in your own words, and maybe asking them to repeat in their own words what they heard you say. Maybe it's something that you just choose to do in your relationships to ensure that comprehension takes place. That's a thought. We're gonna have more of those too. And Wow, this one was interesting. There were lots of responses very similar. What are the causes of poor communication in relationships? Someone said either one is thinking it's always about you, being on the defensive or being insensitive or too aggressive, not really hearing what the other person is saying and not making them feel heard, listening to respond and not to what the person is saying, fear of being vulnerable, not being introspective and not knowing how to properly communicate. These are causes. These are the reasons that people believe relationships fail due to poor communication. Another response, lack of willingness to communicate effectively. But communication is one of those things where people will never be an expert, but can always improve. We all have fallen short with the best of intentions. Also true. Again, thoughtful responses, right? Because these are experiences. And here's what I can tell about these answers and many of these responses. What happens is people just didn't have experiences. They actually paid attention and they realized where the challenges were, where the breakdowns may have come or the causes of the breakdown, and may not have known how to overcome it, because frustration can quickly set in if that happens, right? Because you're like, it's not worth it. The effort is not worth it. You're not worth it. The relationship's not, I'm done with all this, right? But as we go and grow, we want to be better, right? We want to evolve. And so we want to say, okay, how can I be more efficient in my conversation? I don't mean quick, but ensuring that I'm heard and that I'm listening. Okay. Because it's not about, I got to say something to you or you want to say something to me. We definitely want to listen to one another. It's respectful, folks. It really is. It expresses and demonstrates consideration, compassion, empathy, and a desire to understand. Now, if you're not getting that, I'm going to need you to pay attention and make adjustments, whatever those adjustments may be. Now, let's move on. Again, if you want to see the full bevy of the full list of responses, you can do that in the group. If you're a member, if you want to be a part of the Facebook Lounge, you can totally request that if you're on YouTube. But if you're on YouTube, I guess you kind of like YouTube, and I like that you like YouTube too. So again, those of you on Facebook, be sure to get out to our YouTube channel and subscribe, like and comment and share it in your networks. All right, let's keep going. So what is good communication? Communication is giving, receiving, or exchanging ideas, information, signals, or messages through appropriate media, enabling individuals or groups to persuade, seek information, give information, or express emotion. That's a very broad definition. Oh, and by the way, that includes body language too. I think one of the responses spoke to how we look, how our body language, our facial expressions. That is a form of communication. How many times have we heard if looks could kill? Right? I think a lot of us may be not here anymore because we may have disappointed or frustrated some folks in our lives, right? But looks can also be inviting. Expressions can also be inviting. They can be welcoming, okay? So listen, I know some of you are note takers and I understand that. So you totally can do that if you choose or not. You can just listen and that's cool too. And you can also sip. Speaking of which, I think I want one. Wow. Tasty. Okay, so let's get to it. What I like to do is going to ask you some questions rhetorically, and you can totally respond. I hope you choose to, and comment if you have some thoughts around it, or even responses, quite frankly. And then I'm going to give you some additional questions that you could ask yourself and your person. And then we're going to wrap up with some tips, and then we'll be out of here. Just kind of want to let you know what we're going to do. And yeah, I think it's going to be good. So I look forward to your participation. All right. So here we go. So in communication, right? Why are so many of us saying after the relationship is over, we should have communicated more? Have you heard that before? If only we had communicated more. What does it mean? Communicated more. I don't know, because in my opinion, given the number of people that I've listened to or that have said that to me, I wish we had communicated more. My initial question is, about what? I get that it's important, but about what? It just lacks specificity. What does it hurt? Do you know? Did you know and did you share? Did they know and did they share with you? Maybe expressed how they genuinely felt. Yeah, that's true too. Absolutely. And that's the thing about it. If I understand yes, how express yourself genuinely, be transparent, be honest about it, right? Because listen, this is why you do any of it, because you care about the person and you care about the relationship. And like Gwyneth said in her comment, if either in a relationship or out of relationship, it is the intention, it's the effort and care taken to ensure communication occurs, understanding and comprehension occurs. Right? So yeah, it's important. It's important to not run away from it, even when it's difficult. And we're going to talk about that too. I know I've said that a few times, but I promise you it's quite a bit for us to cover tonight. So hope you got your beverages. And again, if you don't, that's cool too. Okay, Gwen says, hindsight, outside of the relationship, you no longer have the fears and vulnerability, not to mention the games and one-upsmanship. Absolutely. Absolutely. Things are just, people move differently when they're not in a relationship. And we seem scared, not comfortable being vulnerable because, I don't want to, seem weak. I don't want to seem thirsty. Listen, if you're in a relationship with someone like that and you're not comfortable talking to them and they're not comfortable with you, can I just tell you that's a problem? Because it's a facade. Where is the sincerity? Where is the authenticity? Just some questions. It can be difficult if it was never modeled, especially from a family origin. Yes, it can be. It can be. And listen, it can be difficult. And this is what I mean by, just because we didn't have the example or the model, it doesn't mean that we can't learn it. There has got to be a desire and an intention to want to be better, to want to do better. And it's not enough to just say, I'm sorry. Anyone can say it wasn't modeled for me and it's hard. And I understand that. This is not to suggest that or to say that it's okay that happened and, you just got to figure it out. That's not what I mean, because there is grace because it wasn't modeled, right? But what happens is, or we should extend grace, if you will, and hope that someone extends grace to us if we struggle, or if we're not as strong in a given area, or we're not as comfortable in a given area. And the reasons that we're not are the reasons. But the idea is that now that that's been acknowledged and the persons are aware, what are we doing differently? Is an effort being made? Is a question being asked? Does that make sense? Hey, I can't see your name, but hello, Facebook user. Happy you are here. Welcome to the weekend and back to the lounge. And excited you are here. Excited you're here. What caused you to become frustrated with communicating in your relationships? Could it be that point that was made about it wasn't modeled and, you're like, hey, I'm tired of saying this to this person, When communication breakdowns occur, this is a big one. When communication breakdowns occur, do you lean in to repair the breakdown or withdraw and ignore it? The reason I said that's a big one is because it's uncomfortable to do it. And it may seem like the perceptions, it doesn't matter what it seems like, because we create whatsoever narratives in our mind that can be limiters, or delimiters, if you will, and cause us to not want to move forward or say something or have a conversation because, this is uncomfortable. Oh, I'm tired of this. They should know better. Listen, last I checked, I don't think people read minds. Okay. Now there's some things that you can anticipate. There's some things that you probably, if you've been paying attention to your person and studying them, you probably have learned just based on experience with that person what could be going on, but it's still worthy of a conversation, especially if there's no Resolution to the challenge. You're frustrated, didn't say anything. You expect the person to figure out through osmosis, and it doesn't work that way. So it's going to require some vulnerability. It's going to require some empathy and compassion, and it's going to require a willingness to share. Okay. Okay, we got some comments. I've done both. Depends on my level of investment. Yep, I get it. I get it. I do. Big one. So painful when someone withdraws, when you're in pain or confused. You have to communicate, even if it means in not so nice a way. Just talk. Yes, this is the whole point. Communication. What is good communication? You know, it's easy when things are going cool. Everybody wants to talk. Everybody has something to share. But the reality is we are human, flawed and fallible, and we're going to disappoint one another. And when that happens, how do we show up? Told you guys are smart. I'll dig it. I dig it. I've learned to lean in and repair the breakdown, especially in business and meaningful personal relationships. Good. And I love it. And that's the thing. It's like you can only control your part of it, right? You can't control the other side of the equation. That's the variable. We individually are the knowns, right? And I already know this answer because you guys have already said it, but it's one of my questions in my notes. So I want to share it with you. Do you believe there is strength in your willingness to be vulnerable and transparent when communicating? Or do you believe communicating that way equates to weakness? Fellas, grown men, not so much, but I want to hear from you though. I do want to know what you think about that. Because when you communicate freely with someone that you care about, that you're vested with, that you believe cares about you and loves you, how is that weak? My contention, that's a demonstration of strength. Because you matter that much to me, we matter that much to me, and we need to talk. I'm just saying, guys. Yeah. Okay. Another one. Is part of good communication conversing about past relationships, emotional triggers, or how we respond when we feel angry or offended? Is it fair to say that you should possibly talk about that when you're dating, right? When you're getting to know the person? Again, not an inquisition, not interrogatories, not that you're writing a book. It's a conversation because we're talking about communication. There's power and vulnerability. I was taught this by Wiseman. Very good. Again, I can't see your names, but I'm guessing that these are my guys responding, so I appreciate that. And ladies, feel free, of course, but I just know as my gender, there's this false notion that, if we say how we feel, then that's weak. No, it's not. A grown man understands it's not. A male, good luck with that. But a grown man, yeah, he gets it. We get it. Okay. Yeah. Do you know how to communicate when you're offended? Do you wait until you're not angry to share the offense? Or do you share it when you're angry and it gets lost? And so now the thing that offended you becomes compounded because of the delivery, the messenger. Nothing wrong with that because we're human. Like I said, forgiveness and grace are necessary in relationships. It is. It is. What do you think? What do you do when you've explained your frustration, your concern, or your feelings, and it's met with opposition or lack of understanding? What do you do? I mean, that's a difficult question. I know that. That's a difficult question, and only you can answer it because it is so very subjective. Is this an anomaly? Is this a one-off? Is this something that you contended with and dealt with this person or the relationship or in the relationship with this person as it relates to communication for some time? Both ways could be wrong. There's value in communicating when angry because it's raw and real, but waiting could temper the fire and make room for fair discourse. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, this is why I wish I could speak to you guys live and hear you live, right? We will communicate whenever, because there's no script for this. I guess that's the thing I probably should say, right? There is no script for when you should say something and when you shouldn't. It's really honoring your truth, whatever that may be. And if delivering when it's raw is what you needed to do in that moment, the only thing I would caution is to be mindful that you being angry and saying whatsoever because it's raw can also be damaging, because it's how the person hears it. And so some things are not going to be tempered. Some things are you're just going to get it when it happens. And I understand that. But then there's also an awareness that we should seek to have, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. Obviously, people choose as they do. But if you care about the person in the relationship, let me not say something that could damage us that we can't recover from. And that's the only caution. I'm not saying don't say it when you're mad. I'm not saying don't let it be raw. But I just think that there's value if the intent is for the message to be heard. That's all. That's all. Uh-oh. Okay. What is good communication? Good communication in relationships is a willingness to discuss matters of concern respectfully and with compassion. It also involves a willingness to listen and understand what is being shared and asking questions when you don't understand. It can involve vulnerability and transparency that is uncomfortable. Why would you intentionally want to be vulnerable and transparent? I've said it already. Because you care about the person, you care about the relationship, and you want to go be great. I'm not saying this isn't easy. This is easy, folks. Please hear me on that. We all struggle communicating. The challenge is we want to be understood and we want to be heard, but we also should want to listen. And sometimes there's a disconnect, and sometimes it takes more than one conversation in order to be heard, in order to be understood. But as long as you're willing to be patient with the person and they with you, it can be worked through. This is not just for persons who are considering dating. It's no matter the relationship. You can be in an established relationship currently. The same thing applies. If communication is a challenge for the existing relationship, then maybe there's a way to communicate differently. And maybe you don't know how to do that. That's why you may want to consider hiring your guy, investing in you and your relationship, hiring a coach to help you be better in the area that you struggle. Why would you do that? Because you care about your person and the relationship matters. Thank you, Gwen. Absolutely. This is all about who I am. Because this is not about the pretense. This is not let me be this way. Let me say this. Let me pretend. Because when all of that, when the smoke has settled or smoke is cleared and the dust is settled, what they're left with is you. So why not show up as that person? It's easy to be you. You don't have to think about that, but you have to think about pretending. It's like remembering a lie. If you're a liar, you got to remember the last lie. But if you tell the truth, you sleep peacefully, because guess what? The truth doesn't change. Oh yeah, some of you are new to me. I get passionate. I do, because I love this. This is my heart. I'm not fussing, although it may seem like it sometimes. I promise I'm not. I just believe this is my heart, right? This is why I do what I do. All right, let's keep moving. As I kind of alluded to, good communication is vitally important to the lifeblood of any relationship. But it should not be used as an umbrella. It should you should be specific about the things that bother you, and ask your person about the things that bother them. Listen, as we're getting to know each other, it's okay to have those conversations. It's not going to always be stuff that you want to hear. Hey, Kev, what's up? Someone said the truth does change. Okay. Okay. Sure. Hey, Kev, how you doing, bro? Good to see you, man. Welcome back to the lounge. So the truth doesn't change. Okay, yeah, that's okay. Got you. Got you. So yeah, again, I can't see your names. That's why I'm saying Facebook user, right? But appreciate your responses and hanging out with us. So yeah, it's communicating can be difficult because we don't know how. Because here's what happens: we kind of get trapped in our own minds and our thoughts, right? Because it's like, I'm frustrated, but how do I say this? Because I don't want my frustration to come out. I want the message to land. So hopefully, if the message lands and the person is willing, the frustration dissipates. That's the result we typically want, but we don't know how to get there. And what I'm saying to you is, consider being proactive. Hey, Harold, what's up, buddy? Welcome back to the lounge, sir. Happy you were here. Welcome to the weekend. That's fantastic, by the way. I'm sorry. I just have to tell you that. That's fantastic. So we're going to look at some questions that you may want to ask yourself or your person, right? And we're going to have some tips and we're going to get out of here. Okay. How we doing? Any questions, comments, or thoughts? Oh, I am drinking a buttery Chardonnay. I sure am. And it is very tasty, I have to say. Although it's unseasonably cool here, I just wanted a Chard today. Yeah, I just did. Yeah. So yeah, and feel free to share what you're sipping on too. If you're sipping anything, right? It could be water. You may not alcoholic, non-alcoholic. This is not that kind of deal. We're just hanging out. This is for grown folks who want to learn how to have quality relationships that honor and support their core values. Communication could be something you place a high value on. And so it's going to be important to you that you communicate well and that you're paired and partnered with someone who's willing to work on those same kinds of things, right? So a few questions you may want to ask. What exactly, the question posed earlier, what exactly is communicating more? Anyone who's ever said that to someone, please tell me what you meant that the person that you said it to may not have understood. I'm just curious because, again, I've heard men and women say, man, if we'd only communicated more. Here's what I would encourage you to consider. If you're in a relationship currently or getting started or any relationship that you may participate in the future, challenge yourself to live absent of regret. So should that relationship end, you're not saying, man, I wish I had said, man, I wish I hadn't, I wish I had done this. I wish I had treated them differently. I wish I had said, we often hear like, give a person their flowers while they're here. I get that, but not so much that. What I'm talking about is when there's something, don't let your pride stop you from experiencing the fullness of the love that you could absolutely share. Don't let your pride and ego get in the way of your happiness. You deserve it. You're worthy of it, but you also have to participate. It's not enough to just say, I'm good enough for this. Yeah, you are, but it requires effort from you. And awareness of people or persons the person that you're in a relationship with. Do you find yourself just having conversations and nothing changes? Has that been a situation that you've experienced? Is it something you currently experience? If so, why do you suppose that is? Is it fair that that's where a lot of the frustration comes from? Because we just continue to have conversations, but nothing changes. But do we stay? Do we go? If we go, do we explain why? Or we just go because you're that upset, you're that sick of it? Listen, I understand that you can be frustrated. It's human. We all are. But you do know that if you are in a relationship with someone where you are continually frustrated and you continue to stay, that's a choice you're making. I would just ask you to consider, if you stay, consider doing the work. Asking your person, let's do the work. Because do you like the results we have? Because I sure don't, right? It's honest. It's honest, but it's not an attack. It's not an accusation. It's a question. Wow. I hope this makes sense to you. I really do. I know it's not easy, but it's so necessary. Absolutely. We are responsible for our own happiness and well-being. But the idea is for someone that we want to be with someone who is equally concerned about our happiness and well-being. You understand? Not that they can make us happy, but they recognize that their goal is to add value to us, especially if they recognize our goal is to add value to their lives. Listen, any relationship, the two people are in it. Can I just get newsflash? There's selfishness. Yeah, because there's something that you see in this person that you want. There's something that they see in you that they want. Nothing wrong with that. That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. We are innately selfish, and we have to purpose ourselves to be selfless when it doesn't concern us. Not at our expense. That's not what I'm saying to you. But I'm saying be selfless with persons who've demonstrated that they're willing to be selfless with you. Let's continue. Do you know how to introduce difficult conversations? Or do you just go in guns blazing? You got to ask yourself a question. If that's the case, what is the goal? Is the goal for resolution? Is the goal for understanding? Or, what are we doing? You appear to see something to help you be happy. Yes, absolutely, Gwen. Absolutely. Yep. Difficult conversations aren't easy. They're not comfortable, nor are they convenient, but they are necessary. They absolutely are. Someone says we need to talk. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. When you share with someone or say to someone, we need to talk, I can say for a man. Now, I can't speak for women, obviously, because I'm not one. But fellas, help me out. I'll get to that in a second, Gwen. When a man hears, listen, ladies, I'm just gonna give you a little insight. Not that you don't know it, but I'm just going to confirm it, okay, for you. And if you don't know it, then that's great. It's something hopefully that will make sense to you. There are two phrases, and this list is not exhaustive by any means, okay? But there are two phrases that men hear that we're like, uh-oh, okay? We need to talk is like, or, you ready for this one? Where is this going? If you want to see a dude bounce or kind of like start moonwalking, introduce something like that, right? There's ways to do it. And that's my point. That's my point, folks. Whatever you want to talk about, there are ways to do it. And you just may have to learn how. And you may not know, and it's okay. But there are ways to get different outcomes, or better yet, to introduce difficult conversations so that you can at least find out if the person is interested in listening to you and wanting to work on or repair whatsoever your concern is. Okay, it's hard to start. Difficult conversations can make or break the rest of the work. All true. Absolutely. Yeah, it's not easy. Someone said, Facebook user says, I do not say those words. Got you. Okay, it's one of my guys. She says we need to talk. I prepare myself to leave, walk away from her. Wow. See, that right there, that's what I'm saying to you, ladies. That's what I hope you hear. It's not fighting words. Let me be very clear. But some men just don't hear it well. I'm not giving us a pass. I'm just saying that is not the best way to reach us. but we will listen if you pay attention to us and you know when to say, or you learn when to say, just like we have to learn you. Let me be very clear. I'm not saying this is all on you to figure out. I'm not saying you should never say whatever you want to say to your God. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just be mindful that there's certain phrases that a man may hear and he may shut down before a conversation can even happen. And you may be wondering, why did he shut down? That's why. It's not that what you want to discuss is insignificant and not important. It was the approach. You know what I said earlier about it? It's not about the validity of what you want to discuss. It could be the way it was delivered. So now you compound something that didn't need to be because we don't know how to introduce it. We don't know how to say it. Can I talk to you about something? Or something that's been, can we chat? Because we haven't done that in a while. And I feel like we may be slipping on some things. And I want to make sure we're good. There are ways to do things. Yeah. And if you're not clear on that, bit.ly Coach Reg session, schedule your no obligation chemistry session. We can talk about it because I want you to win. I want you to go be great. Okay. Oh, Gwen says, how is a woman supposed to know all of the man rules? No, it's not about the rules per se. It's just an awareness of your person. And it's just knowing and just actually asking a question. For example, in getting to know someone goes back to the whole thing about triggers, right? You know, are there things, phrases, or words that you hear that you shut down, that cause you to shut down? It's all about learning. You know, it's paying attention to what your person responds to, not a gender. Okay, that's why I said this is not about man versus woman. It's understanding the person that you're in relationship with. You know, what works for them, what doesn't work for them. Pay attention to ask what doesn't work for you, if they want to know what doesn't work for you, so that they don't approach you in a way that you're not receptive, that causes you to shut down. That's why I want you to understand, folks, this is not a man, what women need to do with dudes and what dudes need to do. This is how we need to interact more successfully together. Yeah. Hope that answers your question, Gwen. Okay, let's keep going. Do you choose not to communicate or share something because you're concerned about how it will be received? Well, I don't want to say nothing because, you know, I know how they do. I know how they get. What is that buying you? What is it buying you? Choose you. Love you more. That's an example of loving you more, that you don't quiet your voice because you're afraid of how something's going to be received, because that means you're giving more credit and value to something that you're not concerned or you're not convinced values you at the same level or greater. Choose you. Love you more. When you feel offended, how do you make your person aware? These are rhetorical questions, folks. I'm not giving you the answers. We're just discussing it. Because honestly, the answer is to a person, because again, we're talking about subjective matters, because this is not illogical. This is emotional. These are matters of the heart. And that becomes intensified when it's someone you actually are digging. We ain't talking about somebody just on the street. Care less about that. Somebody you actually vested with, or could be, or you might be digging a little bit. I don't want to push them away. If you're not honest with yourself and willing to be honest with your person, guess what? That's what you can look forward to as long as you continue with them, because you were not being truthful with yourself and you're not being truthful with them. Better you learn that they are for you up front, or better yet, better that you learn that they're not for you up front than assume or take for granted that time will heal all wounds and we're going to be good. I don't need to say anything about it. Wrong answer. And I hope that makes some sense to you. If something bothers you, there's a way to share it, to make the person aware. Now, whether they get it or not, hey, you can't control that. But part of choosing you means I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it in a way that's respectful. I'm not going to attack. I'm not going to accuse, but I want them to know how I feel and why this bothers me. And you're hoping that they hear you. You're hoping that they consider you. You're hoping that they're like, my gosh, that was not my intention. That's what you're hoping for. But here's the reality. You may not get that. And if you don't get that, then you have to make some choices that only you can make. Kind of touched on this one before. Do you make your person aware of your emotional triggers or expect them to figure it out? That's the whole osmosis thing. I'm not going to say anything. They should know. They should know. How could they possibly if you haven't told them? Sometimes we project how we think and feel and process information onto other people and then get frustrated when they don't deliver. They are not you. You are not them. Let's take this assumption out of the equation. Let's converse. Let's discuss. Let's define. What are we doing? What happened here? How do we fall off the rails? Just some thoughts. Let's keep going. Why are conversations with your person to negotiate standards for the new relationship so uncomfortable? I'm going to read that one again because I want to make sure you got it. Why are conversations to negotiate standards for the new relationship so uncomfortable? And while some of you are thinking about that one, I got another one for you. Why are conversations with your person to negotiate standards for an existing relationship uncomfortable? Yeah. So there's no running from this thing. There are people who are newly established. There are people who are well established, and they both uncomfortable. What's the common denominator? The people and their discomfort and not knowing how to get it right and not knowing how to do it and not knowing how to say it. That's why you hire a coach. Do you think I come here each week and share this with you just because I'm like, oh, I just want to hear myself speak? No, I want you to win. And I know people don't know how to win. That's why you need help. We all need help, service, and support in areas of our lives. And the irony of it all is these are the things that matter most to us: relationships, interpersonal relationships, and loving someone and being loved and feeling loved and giving love, receiving love. It matters. Your job is your job. Your career is your thing. But you don't go to bed with that. You don't take vacations with that. You take vacations and you live your life and you share it with another person. And this is part of that. And so I'm like, if you really want that, why would you develop the courage to have the difficult conversation so you know what you got versus not knowing and thinking you got something and what you have is a firm grasp on an empty sack? I told y'all I'm not fussing. This is just my heart. Okay. These questions are rhetorical. I just want you to think about them, right? So let's move on and get into the tips. I'm going to give you 5 tips for effective communication, and we'll be out of here. Number 1, stay focused on the issue. Sometimes it's tempting to bring up old stuff. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because what happens is it gets muddy. And this is something else that you want to work on. Staying focused on the task at hand. This is the issue I have, not the other 10 things that piss me off. This thing. And please don't wait, or try your best or purpose yourself to not wait until you are pissed off. And now I'm just going to give you both barrels. How about if something bothers you, let's just talk about it. Am I saying bring every little thing to the table? No, I'm not. But a person has to figure out what that is for them. But what I'm saying is focus on the issue at hand. Because if you lump it all together, it's likely not going to be heard. It's kind of like you've heard me say, and you've heard others say, I'm sure, how do you eat an elephant? One big bite or one bite at a time? Relationships are a big elephant. You can't eat it all at once. You one bite at a time. Number 2, listen carefully. People often think they're listening, but really thinking about what they want to say. You guys heard some of that in some of the responses this week, right? Effective communication goes both ways. While it may be difficult, try really listening to what your partner is saying. Try not to interrupt. Don't get defensive, just hear them out. It's their truth. Hear them and reflect back on what they're saying so they know that you heard them. Like I said to you earlier about sharing it in your own words. Then you'll understand. And what happens is, right, when you do that, they're more willing to share because they believe you're going to hear them. You may develop that awareness as well. It's like, I can talk to my person because they actually listen to me and they tell me in their own words what they heard. And we figure out if there's still disconnects after they've shared with me in their own words what I shared with them and vice versa, right? Number 3, try to see their point of view, even when you don't understand it. In a conflict, most of us primarily want to feel heard and be understood. We talk a lot about our point of view. I'll talk a lot about our point of view to get the other person to see things our way. It's understandable, but too much of the focus is on our own desire to be understood. And when we are so focused on hoping that we're understood, we can miss the other person and their point of view and how they feel. Both can be true. Both can be true. Points of view don't have to be the same, but they definitely can be respected. And then you figure out, okay, where do we go from here? How do we work this out? Okay. Number 4, own your stuff. Yeah, own your ish. That's the bottom line. Realize that personal responsibility is a strength, not a weakness. Effective communication involves admitting when you are wrong and being willing to apologize. If you both share some responsibility in a conflict, which is usually the case because in any relationship is a shared responsibility. Look for and admit to your part. Number 5, look for compromise. Negotiate. Why? Because we're different. We feel differently. We think differently, and that's okay. But how do we continue to coexist together in relationship? It's not about me being right and you being right. We both can feel the way we feel, but are we willing to work together respectfully, considerately, compassionately, and with grace to navigate this journey called life, love, and relationship? Hope that made some sense to you. I really do. And the last tip, and then I have questions. Well, not questions, but exactly, Gwen. Exactly. And the thing about negotiating, which I meant to say, so thank you for that. The thing about negotiating is the point of negotiating is to get to an agreement, because the agreement is what holds us accountable. That's what keeps us focused when we get off task or lose sight. The idea is to negotiate to agreement so that you're not continually having conversations, which you come back to as the agreement, not another conversation. Yeah. So if you are someone who struggles with effective communication or good communication, or I'm not sure how to say that, listen, seek out your favorite relationship coach. That would be me, your guy, Coach Reg, right? And schedule your no obligation chemistry session. You guys know how to connect with me. I know how to connect with you. At least I hope so. But you certainly know how to connect with me. Any questions? Any thoughts, comments before we get out of here? Did this make sense? Was it helpful? Did you learn something? Hope so. But listen, we won't be here next week because next week is First Fridays. And we don't broadcast on First Fridays because that's for VIP folks. Okay? Yeah, and that's one of the service offerings you'll see. when you connect with us. But listen, have a fantastic weekend. Please stay safe in whatsoever you do. Remember to work on those communication skills. We want to get stronger. We want to be better in our life, our loves, and relationships so we can go be great. Hey, listen, have a wonderful next week. I know we're going to be off next week, but the week after that, we'll be back with another topic. Hope you guys choose to come hang out with your guy, Coach Reg, in the lounge, be you on YouTube or Facebook. I look forward to seeing you wherever I see you. Hey, listen, have a fantastic weekend and week. It's your guy, Coach Reg, and I love love. I will see you all very soon. Take good care.